We've now got some PlayStation 6 news regarding its price and release date from this really good article over here on VGC, where Sony's president and CEO Hiroki Totoki has been discussing the latest financial results for the company, which were published on Friday. So this is all hot off the press. And he has said that the company is expecting income to be flat year on year because of an increase in investment for the next generation platform. So that's for the PS6. They're pouring cash into developing that right now. Who knows what that'll look like? Home console is rumoured. Handheld is also rumoured. I've also seen rumours of a lower powered console. So think about like Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. I don't think that's a good idea. It supposedly is based off the architecture, which will go into the handheld. So it'll basically be a handheld equivalent, but power-wise, handheld equivalent power-wise, but it will be a home console. I don't like that idea. I like the idea if it's the handheld which docks like the Switch, but not just a lower powered console. But maybe they're looking at these things because of the state of the economy and how pricey hardware is these days due to the AI boom. So let's see what happens here. Fingers crossed they take the right approach. And they also said for 3 months ended March 31st, Sony has sold 1.5 million PlayStation consoles, bringing the lifetime total to 93.7 million. This is slightly less than the PlayStation 4 managed in the equivalent quarter, which it was 2.6 million they managed, which means PS5 is now slightly behind its predecessor, launch aligned, albeit with a far higher price point and launch shortages. That's right, remember when this launched, pandemic, there was launch shortages all over the place, and also scalpers were just buying these up in bulk so people couldn't get their hands on them, which was a nightmare. Given the ongoing global component shortage crisis and PS5's recent $100 price rise, much of Sony's financial call was dominated by questions around pricing. No surprises there. One journalist asked for an update on how the increased cost of components such as RAM has affected the price of the PlayStation 5 and how much of an impact it will have on PS6. That's a very good question. We discussed this exact topic here on the channel a lot. Totoki replied by explaining that as the price of memory increases, the cost of the BOM, which is the bill of materials, and the cost of manufacturing would increase as a result, which could potentially have a big impact on consoles. So bill of materials, if you're wondering what that means, that is basically just how much it costs Sony to actually buy all the hardware to build the thing. He also stated, however, that for the rest of the calendar year 2026, Sony has acquired the necessary volume of materials it needs and has, to a certain extent, agreed on the price itself. Whoa, so they've agreed on the price internally for the PS6. Very interesting. People, place your bets down below in the comments. How much do you think the PS6 is going to hit at? Is it going to be under £1,000 or $1,000? I hope so. I hope they manage to get it under the price of the PS5 Pro. I'm just praying. See if they do that and you need to buy the external hard drive, the external disk drive, sorry. I think they'll be on to a winner. Even if it comes in at the PS5 Pro's launch price, so that for me was £700, and then I had to spend another £100 for the disk drive because that's what it cost me back then. I think that wouldn't be the worst thing. It's still really probably just too much for the masses. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts, right? So Totoki then moved on to PS6, saying there had not been an official decision on when to release the console and how much to sell it for, because the upcoming component situation isn't clear. What? I thought they just said Sony had acquired the necessary volume of materials it needs and has, to a certain extent, agreed on the price itself. Okay, maybe they were talking about PS5 there. I thought that was the PS6 by the sounds of it, but it sounds like they've maybe not fully agreed on it. We have not yet decided on what timing we will launch the new console or at what prices, Totoki said via Sony's translator. So we would like to really observe and follow the situation. I wonder if they'll be watching to see what Xbox do with their new PC console hybrid device, Project Helix. Very interesting times. Maybe let them go first, try and undercut them. Or maybe that will, unfortunately, if Project Helix is as expensive as leaks are alluding to, maybe that's not a good thing, because then that gives Sony a bit of a free reign to have a really expensive bit of hardware, but it's just slightly cheaper than that. I don't know. Looking at the current circumstances, the memory price is also expected to be very high financial year 2027. Geez, this is never easing up, is it? Because there will still be a shortage of supply. So under that assumption, we must think carefully what we will do. Sounds like we should just be buying stock, doesn't it? And all these companies that create memory, like Crucial and stuff like that, Western Digital, geez, to the moon for them. Totoki added that, as well as thinking of other ways to reduce the cost of the hardware in other areas, Sony will consider new potential ways to sell the PlayStation 6. What? We would like to think about various simulations, including changing business models to come up with the best solution and strategy, he said. They better not be going like the mobile phone route where you pay a small upfront cost, then you pay the rest off monthly. Come on. It's just an excuse for them to charge us even more. He also noted that the number of active users on PlayStation platforms continues to grow. So it's not that the demand has gone down, meaning Sony has time to think about its strategy for the next generation. It should be noted that Sony translates its financial reports into English via a real-time translator and sometimes revises its official translation at a later date to clarify correct statements made by the translator. Well, that makes sense. The release date and the price of the PS6 has been the subject of debate amongst analysts for some time now, especially as the growth in AI has led to shortages in RAM and subsequent component price increases. Earlier this year, David Gibson, senior analyst at MST Financial, posted a report suggesting that PlayStation 6 isn't likely to release anytime soon and that previous forecasts on its release window may not be accurate. Sony expects the PS5's lifecycle to be extended, and the PlayStation 6 release is likely to be delayed longer than many expected. I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way. PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, I think it's got plenty more to give. Just keep focusing on making good games, Sony. That's what it's all about. That's why we buy these bits of hardware, to play great games. Elsewhere, should I say. In Sony's results, the company reported a $765 million impairment loss related to Bungie. Whoa, following the release of its extraction shooter Marathon, Sony has not said how the game has performed since its release earlier in the year. Commenting on PlayStation's results, Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of Japanese games industry consultancy firm Kantan Games, told VGC he expects the impending release of GTA 6 to greatly benefit PlayStation sales later this year. I'm a GTA 6 bull, much more so than other analysts. While I do not believe even this game can magically revitalise the entire industry, its release will significantly drive PS5 sales despite the now higher price. If GTA 6 does not get delayed into 2027, it will be all that Sony needs this year. Lots of useful information coming out of the financial results call with Hiroki Totoki. Lots to discuss there, people. Let's see, what do we want to discuss in the comments? Let me know your thoughts on a PlayStation 6 release date, its price, and the PlayStation 5 life cycle being extended. What do you think about all these things?